Hello, I'm practicing poses. No, not for my modeling career. I'm practicing poses to draw them. Good poses are the key to fixing characters that look like this. If your characters look stiff, blocky, then what you need are some complex poses to study and draw from. Observing and drawing the human figure in natural action poses is called gesture drawing, and this is one of the #1 ways that artists train themselves to get good. This type of drawing is called gesture drawing because it focuses on the gesture of the pose, which are things like the curve of the spine, the angle of the shoulders, the tilt of the head. The goal is to simplify the pose into its pure essence and leave out much of the detail in the clothing and the facial features. Another reason to keep it simple is that gesture drawings are done quickly, usually in 5 minutes or less. Drawing them quickly like this will help you capture the essence of the pose. This type of drawing is traditionally done using live models, but of course you can draw from reference pictures, and in this video I'll be drawing from a couple reference pictures that I found online. Before we start our first gesture drawing, let me warn you about a few things. Warning, you should not end up with a stick figure. Your drawing will start with sticks, but it should end up being fleshed out and thicker. Warning number 2, your gesture drawing is not supposed to be a fully finished and realistic drawing. If that's your goal, you're going to get frustrated while you try to do this. Your goal is to capture a realistic sense of proportion and pose, but you can leave off details in the clothing and the facial features, shading, things like that. Warning number 3. If your gesture drawing ends up looking like this, you're using too many straight lines, giving it a stiff, boxy look. Use more curves and S-shaped lines for a more natural look. And last warning, don't get sucked in to drawing every single contour of the shape. When you do this, you may end up with a realistic sense of the details, but not a realistic sense of the overall pose. So focus on the overall pose, not the details. With those warnings in mind, this is how you do a gesture drawing. You start out with the head, and I'm noticing that the head is tilted slightly to the left. Be careful not to draw the head too big. Now I'm going to draw what is called the line of action. The line of action is the most important line in a gesture drawing. To draw it, you have to figure out where the spine is and how it curves, and then continue that line down the spine and into the main leg. The second step is to draw other smaller lines of action that show the angles and lengths of the other arms and legs. The third step is to find the angle of the shoulders and the hips. For this figure, his shoulders dip down to the right and his hips do a little bit as well. And the fourth step is to flesh this skeleton out by drawing the sides of the torso and the limbs. Use smooth, curving lines as you do this. Remember to simplify things. Like, I'm not going to draw all the little wrinkles on that coat. I'm just going to kind of simplify the shapes, make sure I'm finding the right angle, and then flow those lines down into the wrist. And I'll actually continue that line straight down into the hand, not getting caught up on any details between the fingertips, just focusing on the outline shape of those hands. You really want to make sure that your angles are accurate in a gesture drawing. For example, the angle at the bottom of that shoe angles up, and if I would have flattened that sole out, it would not look like he was running or jumping. It would look like he was more just standing on the ground. So I had to get that angle correct. We'll finish off this leg with a nice fluid line going all the way down the calf and ankle. And then maybe just a few final touches on here, just a little bit of facial feature, just a couple simple marks. Not really trying to be realistic, just trying to give him a little bit of a face. Some people leave their gesture drawing faces blank, but I like to give them just a few marks on the face so they don't have that kind of creepy mannequin look. I think I've captured the essence of that pose. As a final touch, I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of quick zigzag scribble shading on some of the darker areas of the clothes, and this guy's done. Let's do one more, maybe one with a little less clothing so we can get a good look at the anatomy of the body. All right, we got Karate Kyle. Let's see if we can follow the same 4 steps and get them to work for us again. We're going to start with the head and then go into the curve for the spine and the lines of action for the legs. That upper leg is going to be really important that we get that line right. I can already see that pose emerging. I can already see that gesture. I'm going to get the tilt for the shoulders and the hips and the lines for the angle of the arms. And you know you're on the right track when that skeleton has the right gesture, has the right vibe. Then you just flesh it out. I'm I'm going to use nice flowing curved lines to draw the edge of that torso. I'm going to get the curve for that shoulder. Nice curves for the legs, a little straighter on the bottom leg, going into the curves for the calves. Nice simple shapes for the feet. A little more detail in that upper torso area. A few different angles there. And then that left fist. All right, let's get his hairdo going there. And then a nice strong brow line on this fella. Let's give him a little more detail. Let's get his shorts on there. Some scribble shading on the shorts. A little bit more detail. Not much, just a little bit more on the torso. Darken the hair. And I think we've about got this guy. A little more on the eyes. And boom, Karate Kyle is looking good. And now, it's your turn to capture the essence of the human figure. So go find a model or a reference picture and a cool pose and get drawing. Repetition is a big part of gesture drawing, so do as many of these quick gesture drawings as you need to until you capture the pose. No need to do a lot of erasing or fussing with these. If one's giving you trouble, just flip to the next page and try it again. All right, time to draw. Bye now.